Have you wondered how mystical deity can impact your spiritual journey and how to tap into their grace? And this is a phenomenal subject, the mystical deity, especially into the yogic tradition. And so namaste, beloved. Welcome to Devi Mayi Ma. Join me on this exploration of mystical deity and how they can transform you, how can they lead you towards enlightenment and spiritual growth. We're going to look at all the different categories and what is really a mystical deity, and how can you really transform by their power. So a deity, it's, first of all, I would say there is a serious challenge and problem among a lot of people, because they think the world of deity is a fairy tale, a nonsense, or maybe even a new age movement. But as a yogini mystic, and I've been on that path for so many lifetimes, I can tell you it is a real dimension of reality that for thousands and thousands of years through Sanatana Dharma and yogic tradition, and how it evolved and how it can be served for the highest, for also not just for enlightenment, for liberation. So a deity is a higher intelligence. It can be a divine being or a divine entity. And so, beloved, let's look at all the different categories. There is about 5 of them. And some of them will overlap, and some of them can be even 2 of them or 3 of them all in once. The first one is a Swayambhu. A Swayambhu means, from Sanskrit, means one who is self-created, who has had no birth and no death. And by the way, I didn't mention the most important part of this. Throughout this exploration, I will be sharing my own intimate experiences from other lifetime, but in this lifetime in particular, and that I have lived it through. So in the first one with the Swayambhu, one who is self-created and one who has another birth and a death. A perfect example is Shiva, the yogi, the Lord Shiva. We say in the yogic tradition, the Adi Yogi, the Adi Guru, the Shiva, who he is the smear yogi that so many of us, we love so very dearly, who brought the science of self-realization on planet Earth, and imparted the yogic tool at lake, I think it's called Kendi Sarova, few miles away from Kedarnath, you know, the famous Kedarnath temple. And he expounded the yogic tradition to his 7 first disciples. And so I have a very close, intimate relationship with him for many lifetimes. And I can tell you, as a Swayambhu, it's been said in the yogic tradition that he is a celestial being, and some of other Maharishi and yogi, they even think maybe he is a Naga, celestial being. Naga coming from the Naga culture, celestial being, who are the full advanced yogi of the highest, who have incredible siddhi, spiritual power, and are capable to live in different realm of reality. And because of that, also, Adi Yogi Shiva is known to be an avatar. And I will talk about that coming up, number 2. And so he's a Swayambhu, he's an avatar, and he has come to me by his grace. many times in what we call Bhava Samadhi. Bhava Samadhi, for some of you who don't know, Bhava means devotion from Sanskrit. And Samadhi means an equanimity where you're in a state of deep, deep, deep calm and tranquility, and where you are experiencing a sense of oneness. You're one with everything, with the universe, a non-dualistic state, we would say. And many times during my own sadhana, he would come and I would get very intense, and I know his energy. And so his power is very mystical and is of the beyond. And so he is definitely an avatar, and being able to take other form, not just a human form. And there is no trace of his true existence throughout history, if he was where he was born, when did he die. So the second category is the avatar, which I have mentioned, an avatar like Krishna, who is one of the avatar of Vishnu. Vishnu, the beautiful Vishnu that I have deep reverence also and deep love. So his avatar Krishna, or his avatar Rama as well, who live divine being, we could say, who actually reincarnated here on this planet to bring order, to bring to bring order out of chaos in time of so much darkness. And so they live into different realm of reality. They can take also other form. They come to you in a mystical way, can come in Bhava Samadhi again, which happened here. One time, I was doing a divine alchemy empowerment with one of my followers. It was on a one-to-one private session, and I was doing a process, a powerful process with this person, because she had had an experience with Krishna from reading my book. And so I wanted to do a process with her, and Krishna just came so strong during this process, and I went into Bhava Samadhi. Again, Bhava Samadhi is like a deity who take over you, and you are one with, and you feel the energy. It's an incredible mystical process, and it's real. And you know the difference. And I was in complete ecstasy in divine love, because Krishna is known to be the Lord of divine love. And another time with Krishna, in those days I was with Gurudev at the ashram. It was like over, probably 18 years ago. And they had a Goshala. You know, Goshala is a sacred cow. And my husband and I, we have one now in India. We have 150 cows we have rescued. But there, at the time with Gurudev, I don't know how many cows, I went alone. And I climbed all the way where the Goshala, something was pulling me to go and be with the cows. They're so beautiful, those sacred cows, you know, they have their long ears. Don't you agree? I don't know if you have seen them. And maybe we'll put some photo for you so you can see maybe at our Goshala. What about that? And so out of a sudden when I arrived, I was alone, there was no one. And they were in an enclosure, but not wide open, and they let them come out also. When they saw my being, they all came. There were probably like 30, 40 of them. And they were like trying to jump on top of each other, and they were licking me, my arms, and tears welled up. I just starting to pour down tear of ecstasy and bliss, and I just felt this wave of incredible divine love, and Krishna, his energy just came through me really strongly, and I was completely intoxicated in madness, in Satchit Ananda. I think I've talked about that many times. It's a non-dualistic state. It is probably one of the highest states. There's debate over that in the yogic tradition, but it's your bliss body. Some says your bliss body, some other Maharishi says much higher than that, but it is to be one with existence, non-dualistic. You're experiencing your divine presence. That's what I call it, Satchit Ananda. And Sat from Sanskrit, which means is pure consciousness being. And Ananda, Chit, which means omnipotent, omnipresence, and unchanging, and Ananda, pure bliss, our true nature. So the third category of deity is, and stay tuned because we're going to talk about how to tap into this realm of deity. It's coming up soon. So the third category of deity is a form. And a lot of yogin Maharishi and yogini also, and mystic have created form over thousands of years. It's very ingrained into the yogic tradition and Sanatana Dharma as well. For some of you who don't know Sanatana Dharma, it just means, from Sanskrit, eternal truth, eternal path. It's a way of life. It's a culture, we could say, in pursuit of seeking the truth, satya, pursuing the absolute truth, and leaving a code of ethic that serve your highest good for spiritual unfoldment and liberation. And so form have been created into a form of a linga or a yantra. And some form are even natural, like a rock at Kedarnath temple, which is one of the 12 Jyotir linga temple in the world, a very powerful place, which I have been with my husband. And I talk about it in some other previous satsang. So all this consecration is done via prashista. Prana prashista is with the life force energy, infusing divine energy into a form to serve the highest good for humanity. And the linga is the form of an ellipsoid. A yantra is more of a geometric form, and like each chakra has a geometric form. It's a fascinating subject. When you agree, write it in the comment if you ever have been into a consecrated temple. It would be wonderful for our community that you share your experience. Don't you agree? And so they're different. Like for an avatar, who can be a Swayambhu too, or just a divine being, a deity, is different from a form such as a linga. The linga is the ellipsoid, one of the first primordial form of the universe. And so I have been in a lot of temples. I have traveled a lot, especially in India for the temple, because they are very powerful. And by the way, this is not a place where you go pray. It's a place where you go in and take in the energy. And they're served for this, for the higher purpose. All of deity, they are created in pursuit of service, I would say, of bhakti and tantra, through tantra, which has nothing to do with really with sex, like a lot think here that has been so wrongly perceived and promoted as sex. But true Tantra is working with deity, working the life force energy, working with element. So when you consecrate through prana prashista, you're working with natural element. You're working through the life force energy. And so, as I said, Kirana Temple, the rock, is a very powerful place. And Linga Bhairavi Devi in India, when I went into the temple, which was in 2016, was a very powerful experience with this one. And by the way, if you want to know about how it was for this one at the consecration of this abode of Bhairavi Devi temple in America, which took place last May, there's an upcoming video satsang, which I share a lot of intimate mystical experiences. Don't miss that. Click on it. If it's not up yet, it will come up soon. So I want to tell you a story that is really fascinating with Linga, because there's such a thing in the yogic tradition, what you call Kula Devata. From Sanskrit, Kula Devata means a clan deity. So that deity energetically can read your genetic memory. And it's created for a specific clan. And it was very ingrained in the yogic tradition in India in particular. I don't know about other continents. It's possible. I don't see why not, because the yogic tradition is a universal tradition. I'm sure it has been happening in ancient time in other culture. If any one of you knows in your country, please write it down in the comment section. And so, Kula Devata, I was in 2018. No, actually, the first time I went there, I take it back. I went back twice, a second time. It was at the Ikliji temple. It's a major site of pilgrim for Lord Shiva. And it's very beautiful. It has 108 small shrines, and it has a major shrine for the deity, which is called the Ikliji deity, which was the Kula Devata of the clan of that dynasty in Rajasthan, in Kalashpuri. And the dynasty in those days was Mehar dynasty, and it was ruling over Rajasthan in that whole region. The Maharaja, who was considered the king, created this beautiful area of shrine and in devotion for Lord Shiva, to express his devotion and power and beauty. And it's been said the deity bestow divine blessing to his devotee. But because it's a Kula Devata, it will read the energy and will work only for that clan, which was the Mehar dynasty. What was most fascinated about my being is, when I went, was the first time I went into Rajasthan. I was with my ex-husband at that time. By the way, I tell the whole story in my book, In Becoming the Light, Realize You True Enlightened Nature, because it was so mystical. But I didn't understand way back then, like the way I understand today, why I had the experience, the mystical experience I had. And it was in 2012, and my Kundalini was going crazy and furious and fast movement. In those days was like beyond words, having a lot of mystical experience. And when I went into this temple, and it was so auspicious the way it happened, we never planned it. And when I walked into the temple, I remember I had beautiful jasmine flower I had bought put it in a basket. And when I walked towards the deity, which is a four-face deity in marble, and to represent the omnipotence of Shiva. And here, when I talk of Shiva, I talk about the principle of not the yogi who came on earth, but I talk the first yogi. I'm talking about that which that is not. Shiva, which means that which that is not. Shiva, that consciousness that manifests, that pure consciousness. And so, and can take a lot of different forms. So this is a form, ekliji is a form of Shiva. Very powerful. And so when I approach to give to the pandit the flower, and I sat down, when he offered the jasmine and threw it on the deity, I exploded, screaming Shiva, and I was intense and having Kundalini spontaneous kriya. And it was involuntary movement, and my whole body was shaking and chanting Shiva, speaking in tongue. I couldn't stop for an hour. My head rotating violently. It was so intense. And having all kind of spontaneous kriya, especially talking in a foreign tongue. And when I came out, I was in Bhava Samadhi with the deity, and I experienced what was the Ikliji deity. And today I realize, without going into further details, is because the deity was a Kula Devata, it clearly told me that I had, and I felt that way back then, but now logically I could see that I had strong karma there in that dynasty, in that clan. I always felt like I had a lot of life path experience. Life paths in India, I have had many visions of them, which is in my book, but that one I didn't understand why, but today I understand. The Kula Devata clearly read the genetic memory, because a deity can read, it's a metaphysical thing, your energy, and will always give you what you need. Regardless what is the deity, not just Kula Devata, can read your energy. And you go in a temple, you never ask for anything. But we'll get there now on how you can connect with the deity. How can you receive blessing and grace? Let's finish briefly the other two, which I was saying already, we already talked about. The number 4 is how the yogi, we briefly mentioned a yogi and Maharishi, which means great sages, yogini and yogi, who are self-realized, who have siddhi, spiritual power, can manifest a deity. And all through with energy and with element. And they are living entity. And many of them have been loose after the disease that the yogi have created. They let them loose in the atmosphere, and there are many examples of that. And some of them, they're not formed, don't get me wrong, they are actually etheric form. You can't see it with your naked eye, but you will feel them. And especially when your Anahata is opening up, you can feel certain deity. So write it in your comment if you have any question. Have you ever experienced a deity? And is there one in particular you have a deep connection? So the last one is, this might come to you as a shock for some of you, but it's wonderful that you hear it. When you really ingrain on the spiritual path, you will know of that. And if you are in sadhana in particular, there is a living tradition of goddesses, and you can become a deity yourself by consecrating, by being consecrating. Well, actually, it's a mutual work, with your master, with your sadhana, certain sadhana. And if you are part of consecration through prana prashista, you naturally consecrate yourself and a self-realization. So it requires a lot of things. And if you do certain practices, tantric practices, because when it comes to the last few categories we talk about, a lot of tantra is involved here. Again, tantra, not what is known in the Western Hemisphere, true tantra, and it's beautiful tantra. It's working with life force energy, with element, like I have mentioned before, and it's way beyond any sex. By the way, there is a video on that, and we will put it at the end. You can watch it, The Path of Tantra, and that will serve your highest good. So you get a clear idea of what is Tantra and all the insight and the wisdom. So click at the end, it will come up as well. And so you can become a deity yourself, a walking linga, a walking yantra, where you one with everyone. And what happens is you emanate this divine energy. People feel it. One little story I didn't mention, I think you would appreciate, when yogi can create a form, is perfect in the yogic lord in mythology. Maybe some of you know the story. Parvati, the wife of that yogi we talk about, Shiva, the smear yogi, and he was known to travel a lot and be with his Gana. Gana means just companion, and they were kind of disformed, and they loved Shiva, and they were very devoted. So he would travel sometimes for 10, 12 years, and he left Parvati alone many times. And she was by the lake there, and she wanted a child, and she knew she couldn't have a child from her own womb with Shiva. So with her own tantric power, she decided to create a child. And she blew life force into it and used certain element. And I believe she used some of her own particle of her skin, and she manifested this beautiful child that she really loved a lot. And one day she was bathing in the lake, and Shiva showed up after 10, 12 years. That's according to the yogic lord. This is not my story. And she told her boy, she said, watch out for anyone who comes, you stop them. And so the boy was excited, he was going to protect his mother. And she didn't expect Shiva was going to show up. He showed up with his ganas. And she said, no, you cannot come, you cannot trespass here. And he was very insistent, and the boy says, who are you? I am Shiva, you can't. I don't know if he said that exactly, but I need to go, I want to see Parvati, where is she? He said no, and he was really I'm going to show to my mother, I can really be there for her. And after putting so much resistance, he just cut his head. And Parvati came out of water, and she said, what? She was so devastated. She said she didn't even pay attention to her husband. She said, how can you do this to my child that I have created? And he said, no, it's too late. He's demolished. And she said, no, and she implored him. She said, you got to do something. At last, he just take the head of the leader of the Ganapati, of Gana, his first Gana, the leader of it, and put it and materialize it to his own siddhi on the head of the boy. And that's the story of Ganapati, the leader of the Gana. And so Ganapati, who is Ganesh, has become this being, this divine, infused, consecrated being, we could say. Ganapati was a perfect example. And the yogic Lord is fascinating. And so, how to connect with deity? Well, beloved, if you have a lot of love and devotion in your heart, and you empty yourself, make a distance from your mind, your ego personality, you allow it to be demolished, and you don't expect anything. You go there with, like a child, like in a state of wonderment, in a state of abandonment. It's inevitable grace, you will receive grace. You, in a state of surrender, you are in trust, in deep reverence and humbleness. And my little secret is offer yourself. It's inevitable. If you offer yourself, eventually it will happen for you. And remember, the deity will, don't ask for anything, because if you receive for what you ask and you're not ready, energetically, in your subtle body, your etheric body, it can be a catastrophe. And you don't want that. Just trust. So you go with trust, with openness. If you doubt in your mind, and you're logical and you want to analyze, how is this working? You cannot analyze the world of the beyond. And you just have to move out of the way and make it happen. And so if you have any experiences, please share it with us. Any question, and make sure to click like this video, satsang, share it with everyone, your family and your friends, and subscribe. Welcome to our channel if it's the first time for you. And there's a lot of great playlists here. The yogic wisdom knowledge is a great one for you if you are on the spiritual path, and as well the one for spiritual growth. But especially click on the upcoming 2 satsang I mentioned about the mystical experiences inside the temple with Sadhguru at the consecration, and write down your question. And if your questions are profound, and I will definitely respond for you. One other aspect also of connecting with a deity, it requires certain code, it's like a key. So that requires certain sadhana. And like tantric practices, for example, in particularly, also here in Radiating the Light spiritual retreat program, being empowered with deity meditation with me, with my being, it's another way. Sometimes it's a combination of things, and certain empowerment, certain initiation. So it's many things. But the quality of being like a child in a state of wonderment, state of surrender, openness, receptivity, and offering yourself is crucial. And then the other aspect, depending of what is the deity, and depending where you are on the spiritual path. And so if you go into a certain abode of a deity or temple, if you don't feel anything, it's just that you're not prepared enough, you know. And don't worry, it will come for you if you work on yourself. And so remember that deity are not archetype. They are real living entity. Some of them are manifested into physical form, but they are metaphysical, so you can't see them. But if you have certain CD, you can see it. So make sure you watch that upcoming video, satsang inside the temple, Bharavi Devi with Sadhguru, because, oh my God, the mystical experiences I will share with you there, many, but when I saw the form of Bharavi Devi. So, namaste, and write down your question and share this video. And if you're new to our satsang, welcome, beloved.